The neural interface blinked red against Maya's temple as she stood before the altar, her fingers trembling inside the haptic gloves. This wasn't how she'd imagined her wedding day, not in a sterile medical bay aboard the Ark Celestis. Not while the ship hurtled through the void at zero point 3 C. And certainly not to a man she'd only met 3 times. Burek stood across from her, his expression unreadable beneath the faint glow of his own neural implants. He was tall, lean, with the kind of quiet intensity that made people uncomfortable. The military insignia on his collar marked him as a Tier 5 combat synergist, though Maya had no idea what that actually meant. She only knew what her father had told her. This marriage would secure her family's passage to New Kepler, the colony world that promised salvation from Earth's collapse. "Do you accept the neurological bond?" The ship's AI intoned, its voice sexless and clinical. "I accept," Maya whispered. Burek's answer came firmer. "I accept." The interface flared white, and Maya felt something shift in her consciousness, not painful, but profoundly alien. A presence at the edge of her thoughts, like someone standing just outside her peripheral vision. The marriage wasn't just legal. It was biological, encoded into their augmented nervous systems. For the next 5 years, their vitals would be synchronized, their locations trackable, their bond registered in every database from here to the Centauri cluster. She was his wife now. He was her stranger. 3 months into the voyage, Maya had constructed a comfortable distance. They shared quarters but lived separate lives. Burek spent 14 hours a day in the combat simulation decks, emerging only to eat ration packs in silence before retreating again. He never touched her, never asked about her work in the hydroponics bay. The presence in her mind, that strange neural tether, had faded to background noise. Like tinnitus she'd learned to ignore, she told herself this was fine. In 5 years, they'd reach New Kepler, fulfill the contract, dissolve the bond. She'd build her greenhouse on solid ground, and he'd... Well, she didn't know what soldiers did on colony worlds. The alarm changed everything. Maya was wrist-deep in nutrient solution when the red lights started pulsing. The ship's AI spoke with unprecedented urgency. Hull breach detected. Hostile boarders. All civilians to safe rooms. Military personnel to combat stations. Her heart seized. Pirates. They'd heard rumors, desperate raiders who preyed on colony ships, stripping them for resources before venting the survivors into space. The neural tether suddenly pulled taut, and she gasped. Burek's voice filled her head, calm and clear through their bond. "Stay in Hydroponics Bay 7. Lock yourself in the cold storage. Don't come out until I get you." She wanted to ask questions, but the connection severed. Her hands moved on autopilot, sealing the bay door and crawling into the cramped freezer unit, where they stored the seed vault, through the reinforced walls. She heard sounds that shouldn't exist on a spaceship, explosions, screaming, the metallic shriek of hull plating being torn apart. Then, silence. It stretched for eternities. Maya's breath fogged in the frigid air, her augmented body struggling to regulate temperature. The neural tether pulsed irregularly, like a stuttering heartbeat. Was he injured? The cold storage door hissed open. Burek stood in the doorway, and Maya's mind refused to process what she was seeing. His combat armor was scorched black, plates missing, revealing the writhing mass of nanotechnology beneath liquid metal that moved like living tissue. But that wasn't what stopped her breath. His eyes were gone. In their place, twin voids of absolute darkness punctuated by points of light that moved like distant stars. When he turned his head, those miniature galaxies shifted, and Maya felt space-time itself bend around him. "It's safe now," he said, his voice layered with harmonics that shouldn't come from a human throat. "What? What are you?" She didn't mean to whisper it, but her vocal cords had forgotten how to scream. Burek, if it was still Burek, extended a hand. The nanotechnology rippled, reforming into something approximating human skin. "Come, you need to see?" She took his hand because the alternative was staying in the freezer forever. His touch was warm, almost feverish, and the neural tether blazed to life. For a moment, she saw through his eyes, those impossible, terrible eyes, and witnessed the universe as he did, a web of gravitational fields, quantum probabilities. The fundamental forces laid bare like the strings of some cosmic instrument. She stumbled. And he caught her. The corridor outside was a massacre, but not in the way she'd expected. 37 pirates lay unconscious, their weapons fused into molten slag. The hull breach had been sealed with what looked like solidified spacetime itself, a patch of reality that shimmered with iridescent wrongness. Tier 5 combat synergist, Maya breathed, understanding flooding through their connection. That's not just a rank. It's a classification, Burak confirmed, leading her through the carnage. Neural architecture modified to interface directly with the ship's quantum processors. We become weapon systems, targeting computers, shield generators. I can manipulate localized spacetime, redirect energy, process tactical data at relativistic speeds. You're not human anymore. He paused at that, and for the first time since the wedding, she saw genuine emotion cross his face, something like grief. The modifications are reversible. When we reach New Kepler, when the contract ends, I'll undergo regression therapy. I'll be normal again. Why? The question escaped before she could stop it. Why would you give this up? Those galaxy eyes turned toward her, and she saw the truth reflected in their depths. Because I've seen what happens to synergists who don't regress. We lose our anchor to baseline reality. We forget what it means to feel temperature, to taste food, to sleep. We become something else entirely useful but hollow. The neural tether thrummed, and Maya felt the weight of his loneliness. 5 years of self-imposed isolation. He'd been protecting her from this, from seeing the monster he became in combat. You married me for obligation, he said quietly, so you could reach New Kepler. I married you for the same reason, but also, he gestured at himself. This, the bond. It's my anchor. Every time I come back from being that thing, I feel you on the other end of the connection. It reminds me I'm still partly human. Maya looked at the unconscious pirates, at the impossible physics of the sealed hull, at the man-shaped god before her. She thought about the comfortable distance she'd maintained, the stranger she'd married, the presence she'd learned to ignore. She reached up and touched his face. The nanotechnology shifted beneath her fingers, warm and alive. Show me how to help, she said. Not in 5 years now. Show me how to be your anchor. The galaxies in his eyes brightened, and for a moment Burak smiled, fully human, fully himself. Yeah, he said. I can do that. The Arc Celestis sailed on through the dark, carrying its cargo of hope and transformation toward a new world, while in its corridors, 2 people began learning what obligation could become when given the chance to grow into something else entirely.